Mr. Satan wants you to subscribe to Geekin' 101 on all these social media platforms. You chump. Oh, yeah.
Ever since the beginning of the Future Trunks arc in Dragon Ball Super, and with each passing week, more and more fans are saying that Goku Black / Zamasu is the greatest villain, or becoming the greatest villain in Dragon Ball history. Not just Super. We're talking about Dragon Ball with Demon King Piccolo, Dragon Ball Z with Freeza and Majin Buu and Cell. People are saying that Goku Black / Zamasu is the greatest villain, and can you really blame them? I mean, look at the stuff that this character has done since coming in. His first appearance ever, he kills Future Bulma, which tore us all apart, and recently in Dragon Ball Super episode 61, Zamasu revealed his Zero Mortals plan, and we saw him kill Chi-Chi and Goten. Now, the question I want to have here, I want to have an open discussion with you guys down there in the comments below, and of course with my two guests who I'm going to introduce momentarily, is has Goku Black Zamasu solidified himself as being the greatest villain in Dragon Ball history? Is he on his way there? Can he do it there? And how amazing would it be if he is considered that, at least by us, considering how old the series is and how much history it has, you know? So, let me introduce the panel. First, from Laughing Stock Media, it's Mike.
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughing Stock Media. How's it going?
And secondly, joining us, he just recently flew back to his homeland of Antarctica, if you believe that sort of thing, Quaman.
Alrighty, guys, it is Quaman here today.
Let's talk about Dragon Ball Super. So, Goku Black comes in, like I said, kills Future Bulma, kills, Chi-Chi and Goten. Stop ruffling papers in the background. And we see the fight. We see him getting stronger and stronger and stronger every time he fights. He's, the storyline's awesome. He hates mortals. He has a purpose. We haven't seen a villain like this. We've never, in Dragon Ball, had a villain like this. Majin Buu was just, Fat Buu was just listening to Babidi, and then Kid Buu was just an animal, just out of his mind, just, pure evil. Demon King Piccolo was also pure evil, sadistic. Freeza was more of like an arrogant, kind of spoiled brat, Nazi type of character. And then Cell was like Vegeta. He was just arrogant, wanted to test his body out, and couldn't handle it. And then, of course, there's Vegeta himself. Goku Black brings something new to the table. Zamasu brings something new. Mike, I'm going to start with you from Laughing Stock Media. Do you think Goku Black is the best villain? And Zamasu, same thing. Is this the best villain in Dragon Ball history so far? And if not, do you think he will eventually be by the time this arc is over?
I mean, if he's not the best villain already, then he's already well on his way to becoming the best villain because, this guy is far more dynamic than a lot of the villains we've already seen, as you've already said. He already is going for that idea of justice as opposed to simply wanting to be selfish and wanting power for the sake of power, wanting to rule the universe. He believes in this twisted sort of sense of morality, which no one else seems to agree with, which essentially revolves around killing everything in the universe that has intelligent life, because that is the Ningen or the mortals which happen to have that, knowledge which he believes is evil for them to have. But also he's going about stopping those who he thinks are just kind of standing in the way. In terms of villains, this is already the most accomplished villain when you think about it. They've already killed all the gods of destruction, the Future Trunks timeline. They've already gone about and he killed Goku, something that only Cell can really say he did in terms of
Piccolo, right?
Yeah, well,
Quinn's favorite.
Well, yeah, but essentially, he's done everything. They've already kind of won. It's kind of like Goku and Trunks and Vegeta are the rebellion, and Black and Zamasu are the evil empire and the Dark Force users, the Sith, and, everyone has to try and band together to stop them. But yeah, Zamasu shaping up to be really awesome so far. He already is really awesome, and unless they really mess it up, I can't really think of a character that has, in terms of villains, that have had this much development, except for, say, Baby, but that was in Dragon Ball GT, and we know we can't talk about that.
Well, let me just touch on that real quick before we go to Quinn. I think Baby has a great backstory. I think as far as backstory goes, I think Baby and Freeza had the two best backstories. Freeza is a catalyst for this series even happening. Freeza was the one who, controlled the Saiyans. He essentially allowed Goku to go to Earth. He could have killed them earlier, and he didn't. And you know, he kept Vegeta alive, and their whole history. You know, the importance of Freeza in this story cannot be forgotten about. He's just very important. And then we have Baby, who had a great revenge story. I mean, you can't even blame him for being angry at the Saiyans for what they did to his people, right? Now, when we talk about Goku Black, though, I mean, this guy has gone levels above, because Frieza blew up like... He killed the civilization of the Saiyans. He was on his way to wiping out the Namekians. He came to Earth wanting to kill them. Goku Black, even though it was in the future, has done that. All the gods of destruction are dead because Goku Black and Zamasu have killed all the Kais. So, in the future, I mean. So, like, I almost feel like Toriyama just unleashed hell with this freaking guy, dude. Like, you think about Majin Buu blowing up the Earth at the end of Dragon Ball Z, and you're thinking, okay, this can't be topped. Then we see this guy who's like, okay, well, I went beyond that. I'm wiping out lives, like millions of lives, dude. Quaman, what do you think?
Yeah, and I was going to actually kind of respond to you by saying I think in theory and in terms of a conceptual way of looking at a villain, I think I would give an edge to Baby and I would give an edge to Cell over Zamasu, because I think they have extremely original concepts as villains. As, you know, obviously Cell, you know, is pretty much an organism trying to be perfect, and Baby's pretty much trying to get revenge and making the Saiyans look like the bad guys, which in ways they were. But I think in terms of realistic villains, I would have to say Zamasu's probably been the most unique villain so far. I want to see the arc end before I definitively say it, but I would definitely say he's by far the most unique villain, Geekdom, because even if you make a Star Wars reference, he feels like what he's doing is justice. It's not like the other villains when you look at, like, you know, obviously Frieza, who I think is a very good villain too, because Frieza's completely naturally evil. The thing about Zamasu is he thinks he's actually doing justice for the universe by killing humans, and he's twisted in his own mind. And the whole concept of trying to take Goku's body over and kind of use it against him, even though, you know, that's kind of been played with before in some concepts, that's kind of making him unique in terms of what he's being portrayed to do.
Yeah, he's very driven and very motivated, but at the end of the day, his acts are for what our morals as human beings would be, are still inherently evil acts. You know, he is killing mortals, taking innocent lives, committing genocide with extreme prejudice. That's what Zamasu's doing. Similar to Frieza, but on a whole new scale. You know, Frieza was a great villain because he was paranoid. He was, you know, spoiled. He was just, you know... This guy Zamasu, though, he's driven, he has a purpose, and he's actually going against guys who are at his level. Like, him rebelling the way he did and what he's done, knowing that the Omni King or one of these guys could you know, or the Gods of Destruction could screw him big time, takes a lot of balls. So, Mike, what's your answer to what Quinn said, or do you have anything to add?
Well, certainly, I think that, you know, even though what we look at these characters, for example, you know, like they have their motivations, they have their own twisted sense of morality to where they believe what they're doing is good. From the story perspective that Akira Toriyama and Toei are telling us, we're still seeing it from the morality that destroying all this stuff is bad. Only the God of Destruction is supposed to come and intervene and destroy anything of that sort. They're not supposed to be interfering. So within the eternal logic of the universe, they're still evil. It's simply that they're making villains, you know, in this case, which are, you know, more relatable, more understandable. And those are the best types of villains, in my opinion. And the characters that we understand their motivations, even if we don't agree with them, we perfectly understand them. We understand why they take those actions, and we understand why they're going down the path in which they're going down, even if we don't agree with them. And so I think that's yet another thing to really, you know, expand upon the fact that these are just such well-done villains, especially for Dragon Ball, because most of the Dragon Ball villains thus far have been kind of one note or one-dimensional, just wanting power for the sake of power, just wanting to be evil and torture people because, you know, they're evil. In this case, it's certainly been a good step up, I would have to say, in that regard.
I never thought that Super would go from being just no stakes at all to being the stakes higher than ever. Like, I never thought we'd see that. Even though the present timeline might not necessarily be in any inherent danger, who's to say that one day Zamasu and Black, if they were to defeat Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks, wouldn't eventually go back and screw that timeline up too, you know?
Well, just look at future Trunks' timeline. It's like the most bleak timeline you could imagine. Everything there is dead. Like, there is no one that could really help him. All the gods are dead. Like, there's not, like, that's the bleakest thing we've ever seen in Dragon Ball in a lot of fiction, really.
Plus, we saw Goku Black legit, like, just curb stomp all three of these guys with ease. Like, this guy just had his way with them. I don't think we've seen a villain do that with Goku in this form. And there was no gimmicks. There was no time skips. There was none of that stuff. The guy just went in there and just pure raw power just took them all out. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Let's go to the comments, of course. I will check out the comments. I may even do a community response video to this. Is Goku Black the best villain in Dragon Ball history? Including Demon King Piccolo, including Vegeta, Freeza, including the video games too. Is he better than Demigra? I think so. Let us know in the comments, and I'll definitely read them. And check out Mike from Laughingstock Media and Quaman's Land. Right? Any final thoughts?
Clearly the greatest villain in the history of the Dragon Ball is my biceps if I decide to pump them up and fuck everybody in the face.